Actually, it was WEVB. E.V. Du Bois? EVD, right. E.V. Du Bois, communist. There was a communist radio station in New York years ago. WEVD. Right? Oh, that was Eugene V. Debs. I'm sorry. A communist. They named the radio station for him. And they had every ethnic group in New York. They all start out as commies, and then they make money and they wind up Republicans. They get off the boat, they're communists. The minute they make a buck and buy themselves a house or somewhere, suddenly they become a Republican. The first day they get here, oh, yeah, I want government this, I want government that, I want the government handout. Then they put a few dollars away. They see the government's going to take it out of their pocket. They're no longer a Democrat, Democrat or a comm. Hey, do you have the Joe and Paul song ready? You know where I was going with that.
Joe and Paul,
I'll explain this in a minute. I'll explain this in a second. This is an insider song. That was Andrea Mitchell's grandfather singing Joe and Paul of Farganigan. Although today she tries to pass herself off as a WASP. 1-800-449-8255. I get such a kick out of that song. What it is, it's an old Yiddish radio jingle that I get a kick out of. That was played way back before I was even born, I think, for a wave of immigrants. And they used to shop in this store. And if you translate it, it says, bring your youngest son in for a gabardine. Something like, play it again. Let me hear if I can understand it. It's in the Yiddish. Again, this is Andrea Mitchell's grandfather. You know something? Today they could copy an ad like that and make it in English. They'd have a hit. Although with America Today, I don't think it would work in English anymore. There aren't that many people who speak English left in New York. It would have to be in another dialect of Spanish, some type of Spanish dialect. Not even Castilian Spanish would work anymore. They'd have to play it with some other pyramid kind of element in it. That's all. Obama takes a trip. Rep King speaks the truth. And Senator Al Frankenstein goes to Washington. From a comedy club to the ultimate comedy club, the U.S. Senate. So here we are in the savage nation. New climate strategy, track the world's wealthiest. You hear this? Track the world's wealthiest. So they're going to basically eat the rich. That's what's going to happen under the socialists running the world now. So there'll be a tax on yachts. There'll be a tax on cars. There'll be a tax on jet travel. They will cripple the economy. But that's the way it's going to work under Obama because he apparently is not rich. He only flies around in Air Force One with an entourage of about 3,000. I wonder what his carbon credits are. He's accruing some kind of carbon tax right now that you're going to have to pay. How much do you think the carbon footprint is that Obama just spent going to Moscow? And how much did Michelle in the carbon footprint that when she went to Paris, was her carbon footprint large or small? I flew over the weekend speaking to the pilot, and the guy's a young guy, and he's a fine pilot. He says to me he's very worried that in a few years, if the biggest scam in the history of the world is allowed to go through, being promoted by Al Gore and Goldman Sachs, the so-called carbon tax, if this goes through, which is the most obscene of all scams, if it goes through, fundamentally it will cripple the airline industry. It's amazing to me what's going on and how you don't care, but how are you going to get around? How are you going to fly? How are you going to fly? You idiots don't even understand that it's not carbon dioxide that's at fault. Incidentally, there's no global warming. It's global cooling. But let us assume that you're concerned about the Earth heating up for a moment. If you actually eliminate all the carbon dioxide being emitted on the planet, you'd be dead within a few weeks. Let's start with that. But since most of the schmuck drug addicts in the media and most of the schmuck drug addicts in Congress don't even understand that all animal life that we know requires carbon dioxide to live, the science illiterates in the media, the science illiterates in Congress don't even understand that they're conducting a war on food production itself. This is amazing to me, that they don't even have a fifth grader's knowledge of carbon dioxide, and yet these schmucks are passing laws against carbon dioxide, the enemy. I expect a cartoon to be created for children soon showing the evil carbon dioxide with a villain's mask. And they're going to wipe it off the planet. They're going to save the earth from evil carbon dioxide. Well, my friends, as you well know, plants require carbon dioxide to conduct photosynthesis. It's a basic law of biology that you learn in the first grade if you go to a decent school, and you don't learn it all if you become a congressman. I'll be right back.
Is your inheritance stuck in probate? Inheritance Funding Company can advance you the cash you need in as little as 72 hours. Go to inheritancefunding.com or call 877-YOU-AIR. That's 877-YOU-HEIR.
On the air, online, and on the go. This is Talk 910 KNEW.
Here are the headlines on michaelsavage.com. On the top left, Obama agrees to cut 1/3 of America's nukes and got nothing in return. On the right side, Barack Obama, the most fiscally irresponsible president in history, according to a real economist named Kevin Hassett, a true economist. Obama has bet everything on passing health care this year, but he can't afford it. Nobody knows how he's going to do it. He's bankrupting America. It's like the Mad King Ludwig of Bavaria. Look it up. British didn't consult the United States on the Michael Savage exclusion from their wonderful land of the United Kingdom. Well, why, if they didn't consult the United States, would they tell us that last week? Answer, because they did. White House won't reveal how much Michelle Obama's European vacation cost taxpayers. Of course not. Ousted Honduran president expected in Washington. He's a dictator. He's a communist. The people threw him out. And yet Secretary of State Hillary Rodham Clinton will meet this communist dictator of Honduras, somebody supported by Daniel Ortega of Nicaragua, Fidel Castro of Cuba, and Hugo Chavez of Venezuela. So now we have Hillary Clinton and Obama on the same side as the Castros and Chavez and the Sandinistas. What does that mean? Well, it means you've had a revolution in America, but you don't know it because you're afraid to say the C word. You're afraid of being called a racist, aren't you? Those are some of the topics on the Savage Nation. There are others. And the phone number here is 1-800-449-8255. The biggest story to those of you who don't have a brain is that Michael Jackass is dead. A man who Representative Peter King, Republican of New York, had some fine words for. And, of course, we played them on the Savage Nation. Houston, Texas. Kathy, you're on the Savage Nation. Go ahead, please.
Dr. Savage, thank God you bring the truth to us.
Thank
God. And also
God.
about Michael Jackson and Anna Marie Nicole and the fact that the National Enquirer is running the news media now.
That's right. That's right. ABC plus CBS plus NBC plus CNN plus Fox equals NATIONAL INQUIRER.
Right, but Elizabeth Taylor and Lisa Marie Presley and all those people who admired him and fawned over him. Well, Elizabeth Taylor is known for her creepy attitudes with Roddy McDowell and Montgomery Clift and Rod Hudson and her own creature.
You know what? I don't care about this guy. I think he was just a singer. But what got me very worried is that President Obama had the nerve last week to say he grew up on Michael Jackson, that he has Michael Jackson's tunes in his iPod. I said, that explains everything. He didn't grow up on Bach, Beethoven, or Handel. Apparently, he prefers I'm So Bad to Handel's Water Music. And that's why we have a president who is on training wheels. The man is a president on training wheels, only we live in a very dangerous world. Have you ever heard Handel's Water Music? Have you ever heard Ein kleine Nacht music? Have you ever heard an opera written by Handel? Staring out on a warm deck, looking up at the moon on a starry night, and let your mind go up to the heavens, listening to Handel, a Handel opera? You'll know what I'm talking about. We live in such a debased world that a song and dance man with many mental problems is elevated to a level beyond that of the great composers of all time. And we have a president who doesn't even refer to the great composers. Instead, he refers to an ordinary song and dance man as some great musician who he grew up on. And you wonder why we're living in such destitute times. It is where the lowest common denominator seems to rule everything. Play the Hallelujah chorus by Handel. Oh, my God. for this country. I feel like crying when I listen to this. Not crying out of pity for myself or for them. Crying out of what's happened to America. From a melting pot to a chamber pot in one generation. You've got this. You hear this? This is what they hold up. You hear this? Like hieroglyphics to a beat. Hieroglyphics to a beat. That's what we descended to. Turn it. I really can't listen to this idiocy, this dumb idiocy, this moronic, stupid idiocy. Moronic, stupid idiocy. You play it if you like it. You play it for your children and lower their brain power. Put them on Ritalin afterwards when they can't go to sleep